to RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD, BlenderHD. You want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Monday, May 13th, and you know what we do on Mondays. It's Mondays with Mccool. We bring in James Mccool, the co-author, with me on the theory of daily fantasy sports. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass you can pick up at theoryofdfs.com. Hit those thumbs up buttons on your way in. Hit all the thumbs up buttons. If you have multiple ones, feel free, hit them all. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit everything. Hit the notification bell to always know when we go live. Remember, later today, we'll have Grinders live. We'll have crunch time for MLB. Obviously, we still have, we got some NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. We got tons of stuff here at RotoGrinders. But, James, we do have something new that came out. I think it literally came out today, right?
Yes.
Or maybe late yesterday or something. StatCast. If we could throw this up on the screen. StatCast has come up. This is Baseball Savant. You could they have a lot of the data here. Backtracking because we have pitch tracking, obviously, right? Because we can measure the velocity of pitches, right? We can measure, the distance of the ball when it's pitched. We have exit velocity, right? We know how hard a ball has been hit, but this is tracking the bat speed, the swing time, and the placement of the ball on the bat, on how square the ball is. And you could go through some of this here. A lot of this is not going to surprise you. And in looking through all of this, there's also ESPN. Jeff Passan has an article that he wrote today with, takeaways from the bat tracking data and stuff like that if you want to look through. But just before I give it to you, James, on like what does this mean? Cheese already has tweeted out, when you get brilliant minds and number crunchers working to find groundbreaking data that will change the future of baseball analysis, we learned that Giancarlo Stanton swings hard and Luis Arias doesn't. Wow. Who knew? Who knew, James? Does this data mean anything?
Yes and no. On its face, no. Average bat swing doesn't really, or average speed of the swing and like the length of the swing, those things by themselves don't necessarily mean anything. From the article that Jeff Passan wrote about this.
Well, that's if you average it. I mean, I think the key is the fact that, like, we take a look. I just want to highlight this chart right here. So,
Yeah.
like, the further up you get, so like Luis Arias is all the way in this corner right over here. So the average bat speed is very low, right? So on this end of the spectrum, we're looking at the y-axis and the x-axis. We go all the way to the left. That's very slow bat speed. But we go all the way up. That's very high square. Like they're hitting it very solidly against the bat. Anything below on the bottom is that they're not hitting the sweet spot of the bat, right? And we know that if you don't hit the sweet spot of the bat, it's less likely that your balls will have as much power as they should. So the further up you are, up over here, Luis Arias is like, yeah, no power, but boy, does he connect with the ball, right? We have Stephen Kwan here also. We have these types of hitters, right? And then on the other side of the spectrum, like the best hitter with the highest bat speed and the highest squared percentage is Juan Soto, which would kind of make sense because he hits it solidly, and he may not be the most powerful, but he hits it pretty damn hard. And like Stanton is all the way here, where hits average bat speed extremely high, but he's below average on does he hit the sweet spot of the bat. And then we have guys like Brett Batty, who above average on bat speed, but boy, does he miss the sweet spot of the bat often. Like a lot of bad contact, right? And then you go up over here and see like Alec Boehm, where it's like average bat speed, but he does hit that. When he does hit it, he hits it with the better part of the bat. So, I mean, obviously there is a relationship. you could just tell by the types of hitters that you can even see that, hit the ball hard. Acuna, Chapman, Morel, Aaron Judge. And then the ones that swing and don't swing fast are like these, even like Justin Turner, right? You got Josh Rojas and Bryson Stott and Bryce Terang. Like when we play DFS, we look at these guys and go, yeah, they're probably not going to hit a home run. Like they're probably, you take a look. It's like I'll play them in stacks, but I won't play them as a wall. So, like, this has to show something because, I mean, the fact that we can discern if it didn't mean anything, James, we'd see like guys that we describe and have the result stats look like just a mess. Like it would just seem random of like, well, this guy kind of swings fast, but he doesn't hit any home runs. But this guy swings fast and doesn't connect, and it would seem much more random. This doesn't seem nearly as random. This seems very descriptive of the styles of hitters we'd expect to have either, fast or slow bat speed, as well as, how well they connect with the ball.
Yeah. And expanding on what I was trying to say earlier before you so rudely cut me off there, Jordan.
I do that all the time, though.
I know. That there is it is a good descriptor of how we should expect guys to play. So it is a descriptor, and that's kind of what Cheese had said, is that it is a descriptor of things that intuitively make sense. We know that Giancarlo Stanton swings the ball or swings the bat really fast and hits the ball really hard. We know that Luis Arias and Stephen Kwan do not swing the bat very fast, but they make a lot of contact. We know those things intuitively. Like we know what they are.
Well, we know it from the ball. Like we know it from like the results of their
right.
play.
So this does a great job of showing that in graphical form. Does a really good job of that. And then, when you look at it and say, okay, well, so then would we want to focus on, say, guys who are up and to the right? Juan Soto, William Contreras, Shohei Ohtani, Alec Baum. Sure. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Would we want to focus on guys who are farther over to the right rather than the left? Maybe not. And that's where this kind of breaks down. Is if you had a third piece of this, if this was a graph that could contain two different y-axes, or however it is that you say that, and the third one was runs created plus, that would tell you more that you wanted to know. And that's kind of where I think that you need to take this next, and where I'm going to be working with it, because I'm going to download this 100% today. I'm annoyed.
Just for the 2024 season. I mean, like this data doesn't exist previous to.
It doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter because this stuff is going to be. So, how Cardi always talks about how velocity is something that normalizes pretty quick with pitchers.
Yes.
Bat speed is going to normalize super quick with hitters, like super quick. This is not going to change. You're not going to need multiple years of data on this to understand and utilize it in data. So, yeah, you're not going to be able to work backwards into like 2022 and 2023 for runs created plus and stuff like that. But you're going to be able to do a lot of modeling and understanding of league averages and regressions that we should expect based on bat speed against runs created plus and stuff like that. So what I want to do is take that you have to have that third aspect of this. Bat speed and contact are fine, but you also want to match it up against runs created plus, or you want to match it up against what their current batting average is and see if you can find guys who should regress upwards based on their contact rates and swing rates. That's
downward.
Or downward, right? Yeah. You can find guys who are way over producing, but like say that you have somebody who has hit like 4 home runs in the last 2 weeks or whatever, but their bat speed is like only the 17th percentile or something like that. You could probably say, oh, well, we shouldn't expect this guy to be able to continue to do that.
Or to me, I view it as more of the type of thing of comparing that to the contact rates and the swing length. So, like for instance, we get someone like Jorge Soler, who his blast rate is very low on the season, right? His swing length is very much longer than average. He lugs that bat through the box. His contact rate is low also, but that's expected for Soler because he strikes out a lot. But if we saw that he hit a whole bunch of home runs, it's like, well, based on this underlying data, he probably got lucky to hit a couple of these home runs. He just so happened on those pitches to hit the ball with contact. He's making such bad contact that his bat speed is, I mean, it's such a small sample size now, but it's not, because to me, it's not just the bat speed, because, yeah, obviously guys with higher bat speed are going to hit the ball. We could see that in home runs. We could see that in the exit velocity. We could see that in, like, that's kind of the question that I was asking. And obviously, you wouldn't know the answer yet, but I'm surmising that a lot of this data is going to correlate to existing data that we are currently already using in our models. So it's already, like, to me, I don't know what the bat speed is going to, like, if you take a look at bat speed versus exit velocity, like, what's the correlation between the two? And if the correlation is like 0.92, like, what's that? Like, what does this actually actively do for us? Right? If we take a look at right, if we used our current model and say, let's try to predict home runs, let's try to predict, doubles or, hard contact. Now that we have this data, does that make us any bet? Does that, like, that goes back to, truthfully, even though I'll make fun of Cheese for, his kind of, his tongue in cheek, anti-projections type of mindset. But it may come back that you add all this information in and you don't, like, from an actional perspective in DFS or in betting, that it doesn't really change much. Like, we have not, like, we Javier Baez sucks. Like, it's not going to, I mean, the data shows that that the guy just lugs his bat through the box and barely makes good contact with the ball, even though he has a decent bat speed. But we could see that by looking at his actual stats and go, oh, well, maybe that's the reason he bats 8th for the Tigers, right? Like, there's a reason. You look at just the output, and we know that. And the only other question I have is, what the hell are swords?
Oh, swords is like where you it's a called strike where they try to hold back. Really? Like where they try to do a check swing, but it's
so it looks like a sword, like it's swords.
Yeah, it looks like a sword.
Oh, so okay, so obviously swords would not be counted in, like, swing length because it's not really a swing,
right? Yeah.
So that's like,
so
they got
going back to that Javier Baez thing. I want to point out something here that I think kind of brings this point home. You made the point about Jorge Soler and how he has a pretty decent bat swing speed and, like, longer length. Compare him with Wilson Contreras, because you can do that, which is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, on Baseball Savant here.
Yeah. You can compare two hitters.
So we're going to compare what? Where do I go? What do I do? Teams. What page do I go to for this?
Hold on. Trying to find it.
So I'm going here. Contreras. Can you just do it from this screen? Wilson Contreras?
Yeah.
So here, like this. You want this on the screen.
Yeah. So there you go. Those two guys are basically the same, right? In terms of looking at this. But then
this is looking at swing. This is looking at swing percentage.
That's looking at swing percentage. So go ahead and look at bat speed.
No, this is bat speed and swing percentage. That's what it's on both axes, right?
So those guys are basically
75.6. They're not much different than each other.
Right. Basically the same. You said that if Jorge Soler were to go and make a whole bunch of contact, do you view Wilson Contreras and Jorge Soler as the same guy before looking at something like this?
No, I wouldn't consider them the same guy.
So that's kind of what you look at this and you're just like, oh, they look like basically the same guy based on this data, but based on all of these other really good models that we have, we know that they're not the same guy. Juan Soto is sitting there.
I mean, if taking a look at this, I put Soto here, and Soto much more normally distributed and much more consistent.
Right.
Like just from the data, I mean, like the difference between these three, like Soto should be, Soto's better. You see, less. Ceiling is about the same as those three, but the floor is way higher. Right, here's Soler. Right, you can see basically Wilson Contreras has this little leg over here where he gets more hits because he has some slower swings, I guess. But this is but to me, you know what this highlights? That Jorge Soler, if I could take out, I don't know how to can I take one of these guys out? Like this is Jorge Soler versus let me put in Baez. Here's Soto. Let me put in Baez. Right? Consider that these two guys are like pretty far away from each other.
Yeah.
And look how close this visualization is.
Yep.
Like the differences between being Juan Soto and Javier Baez in swing percentage and bat speed. Like this sliver here for Baez, right? And this top end up here, this top cone end over here, is the difference between those two. Like these aren't, in a visualization sense, it looks close, but in an actual sense, these are humongous differences.
Right. Huge. So the big thing here is my guess on how this is used, based on everything that I know about baseball and about hitters. What we care about is bat speed and how often a hitter actually swings at hittable pitches. Bat speed and picking your pitches. Think Mike Trout, right? Mike Trout, he doesn't swing at everything. He doesn't chase at very much. He swings at things in the zone, and he swings really fast. That's what Mike Trout does. That's why he's really good. Javier Baez.
Well, that's why Juan Soto is. I mean, that's why I'm using Juan Soto here, because based on the things, like he's the prototypical batter of someone that has much higher bat speeds, and he makes a lot of contact, and he doesn't strike out a lot. He walks a lot because
it's not even really about making contact a lot, right? It's not about the contact. Contact is good, but making good contact and knowing when to swing is the most important part. That's the thing that it always comes back to for me. Like I think that people looking at things like strikeout rates are misplaced. Strikeout rates don't really matter. What matters is that you're swinging at pitches that you can just destroy. Right. And Juan Soto is very good at understanding what pitches he can absolutely destroy. And obviously he has a really good eye. He takes a lot of walks and he doesn't swing and he doesn't chase, right? So like him and Mike Trout are kind of this idea of people who can leverage their bat speed. Somebody like O'Neal Cruz or Jorge Soler, right? Like Jorge Soler doesn't make a lot of contact. He chases a lot of pitches. He swings the ball fast, or he swings the bat fast. And when he makes contact, he's probably going to hit the ball hard, but like it doesn't matter because he doesn't know how to pick his pitches as well. So that's kind of what I want to do is I want to take this data. I'm going to download this CSV and I'm going to connect it against other things in the Baseball Savant database that I think make a lot of sense for understanding who is able to utilize bat speed. And then that's, I think, where you kind of find some good data here. But to your point, if I go through all of that and then I find like guys who have a really good leverage of their high bat speed or whatever the hell I call it, and then it has a 0.95 R2 towards runs created plus, I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to use runs created plus.
Right. So to me,
Yeah.
that's what I expect. I expect a lot of this data is going to be correlated to.
Yeah.
Wow, the guy that hit 47 home runs this year has a high bat speed. Who would have thought? Right? I mean, like it's like one of those types of things. I mean, take a look at this. Look, this is the most ridiculous comparing
Right.
visually Arias and Stanton. Their overlap. Like, look at all the other players we looked at. They overlap by more of the like, and then 10% is like outside here. It's like you got this little thing right over here, right? Stan's slowest swing is Arias's fastest swing.
Right. Yeah. The Chicago Jay said there's been sayings about who's supplying the power between pitcher and batter. Would modeling make sense to dive into lower bat speed, better contact versus power pitchers versus higher bat speed being needed against soft tossers? Obviously, I have not dove into this yet. I will. But typically that kind of stuff, I'm going to talk through my thoughts here. If you have a higher bat speed, it's going to be basically the only way that you're going to hit guys who are throwing really, really hard. You're not hitting somebody who throws 100 miles an hour with a bat speed of 60, right? Like Luis Arias.
That's not necessarily true, though.
You're not gonna make anything out of it.
Right. Okay. I think that's what I mean by like Luis Arias could just stick out his bat and slowly and hit the ball.
Right. Yeah. He'll just choke up on it and he'll be able to make contact and maybe he'll be able to get a dribbler out to third or whatever, right? But you're not going to make any actual power out of it. The only way to get power against 100-mile-per-hour pitch, swing the bat really, really fast, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to pull it. Otherwise, you're going to be behind it and you're going to end up pushing it out and you're not going to get any really good contact. So what I would say is that, again, it kind of just goes back to we have all these different stats and we have a bunch of different ideas of how batters and pitchers interact. And I'm not sure that this gives us that much more, but maybe it does. Maybe if we look at this and think about how bat speed relates towards power against different kinds of pitchers, maybe we find that the only guys that can actually have power against somebody like, Spencer Strider or who else is throwing 100 right now? Everybody throws 100. The only people who are able to find real power against somebody throwing 100 are people who can swing the bat in the top 20th percentile or whatever of bat speed, right? Maybe that's what we find. But that kind of thing also in and of itself is kind of hard to, it's kind of hard to model out because you have to go in and you have to do different game log kinds of things and find those specific instances. Actually, did they include?
I was going to say, I mean, if they may include the pitch by pitch, like obviously these are all swings, so there has to be a pitch associated with every swing, and you should be able to get the velocity and the pitcher. I mean,
right.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's included in the data set that you could download, but I'm assuming every swing needs to relate to a pitch. Like everything. I mean, literally everything in baseball other than pickoffs and what? That's it? Balks? Like everything has to go by a pitch. Even if it's a pitch out. It's going to be something, it's going to be recorded.
I'm going through I'm going through the pitcher side of this, right?
Yeah.
And looking at the average bat speed versus basically anything. And the only thing that has basically shown any correlation is the amount of blasts in relation to bat speed against pitchers. Everything else is just completely non-correlated.
So, it's all over. It doesn't, right.
Doing
it backwards is not going to do anything.
No.
There's no pitchers that give up bat speed.
Right.
Like that physically, that just literally, it doesn't make sense. Of
right.
Like, well, this pitcher really suppresses bat speed. Like that.
Well, no.
How would they do that?
Hold on. If a pitcher is throwing 100, right, then hitters have to swing faster to get in front of it. That's a thought that you could have.
But wouldn't it actually be that James? Let me posit that I think maybe it would be the opposite. Because bat speed to get power, like for instance, if the problem with power pitching is that it's much harder to get solid contact. So don't you think that most batters, especially in like 0-2 counts, 1-2 counts, are much more likely to not swing for the fences and slow their bat speed down so they can make contact with the ball more against power pitchers rather against like these soft tossing lefties where it's like, yeah, well, I can obviously make contact with this guy, but I need to generate more bat speed in order to get this ball over the fence.
No, I think so. I understand what you're saying, and I think that in certain instances that's probably right. I think there are guys who are willing to drop their bat speed, right? But like we just saw with Juan Soto, like his distribution is pretty normal, and he doesn't fall back. I would be willing to guess that if you were to look at somebody like Joey Votto, if we had the stat on him, right?
Right.
He was somebody who had always talked about if he gets behind in the count, he's going to choke up and he's going to swing slower. I'd be willing to bet there are certain guys in certain instances where they are willing to drop that bat speed back and try to make contact and choke up. But there's like, I just think that most of the time guys are just going out there and just, if they can swing fast and they can make a bunch of power contact, they're going to be trying to do that. So especially when it comes to guys who are throwing really fast and say somebody like Gunnar Henderson or, Jorge Soler, like Jorge Soler wants to get in front of that ball and pull it. He doesn't just want to like make contact, like he wants to destroy that ball. So against somebody who's throwing even faster, he feels like he needs to get in front of it even more. I'd be willing to bet that guys who are up against power pitchers are more likely to swing faster and try to make more contact. And the faster you swing, the higher your whiff rate. And that's why we would see increased strikeouts against power pitchers. That is my thesis here.
Right. So I'm also taking a look at like the bottom of the list. Like Marcus Semien, 201st on the list on bat speed, but he has 27 blasts so far. I mean, I'm looking for like someone that swings the bat slower, but still has like 40% contact rate.
Yep.
Right. Swing length, longer swing length, which typically lowers your bat speed.
Yeah.
Right. But he still has a bunch of home runs. Like you get this type of distribution, right?
Right.
Right. He doesn't really. He makes a lot. This Semien from this data makes it more that he's someone that on average swings the bat slower, but hits the ball a lot harder, has a lot more harder hits in this range. I mean, look at this distribution here where like it drops off a cliff. Like essentially he rarely ever swings the bat higher than like 76 miles an hour.
But look at that long tail on the top. He picks his pitches to swing fast.
Right.
So maybe that's it, right? Maybe that's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys who don't necessarily swing fast all the time, but swing fast when it matters.
Yeah, but again, without the pitching data, how would you would have to know when it matters? Like, when does it matter?
Well, I mean, I think that we can see from Marcus Semien. We don't have to know when it matters. We have to know that guys care when it matters.
Yeah, but is this? I mean, we have 2.5 months of data or something. Not even 2.5, 1.5 months of data. 6-7 weeks of data. What's the regression? What does the regression look like on this? Like, is this just an anomaly, or is this something that Semien normally does?
Right. Yeah.
Are we going to see by the end of the year his average bat speed is going to be 71, and it's going to look much more closer to this average than it is right now? Maybe it just so happens the past 6 weeks he's been making hard contact at the right times, and that's not going to continue. Is it something that's controllable? I mean, this is obviously this is not something we can answer right now. I'm just saying that these are the questions that we need to be asked. And then the most important thing, since we are a DFS show primarily, is that how can we use this for DFS projections? And I still I get a sense that I'm more with Cheese, that eventually we'll see that this it may be worthwhile to incorporate this into your model for a little extra accuracy, but I don't think it's going to be a game changer, because a lot of this data, a lot of the actionable parts of this data, you already have data that captures this.
Go look at Taylor Ward.
Taylor Ward? Okay. Ward. Okay, here we go. Right, a little bit similar to Semien.
So
he's down on the list also.
Right. So he's down on the list. His average is 68.9. But he has 34 total blasts.
Right. Which is why
which is 21st. But see that long tail again towards the top. That's what I think is going to matter here. I think that what we need to do,
because basically he's getting enough blasts and he's making much higher percent contage than the league average.
No. It's this long tail towards the top.
Over here?
Yep. That's what I think matters. I think it matters a lot more that guys know when they're supposed to swing the bat really, really fast. That's what I think matters.
Yeah, but then you would have to correlate these swings to specific outcomes, right?
I think that, yes, yeah. Like I said,
how would you be able to tell that they're swinging the bat fast at the right times? Because you have to gauge what the right times are.
So again, I need to work with this data. I don't know the exact answer.
Right. Obviously, we just got that. I mean,
I think that because you can look at Adley Rutschman too. And Adley Rutschman is I sorted that table by blasts. And then I'm looking at these guys who have these lower average bat speeds.
Right. Very similar.
You can see that these guys who have these lower average bat speeds, I don't even think that it's necessarily the average bat. One, I think that blasts matters a lot more than I think that this bat speed.
Well, that's the point. Isn't that what I'm saying? Is we talk about barrels, all the other StatCast data. It's like, dude, if I just looked at barrels and blasts, what do I need any of this anymore?
Well, I do think that is if what we are trying to do here is understand more about what makes a hitter good from an analysis standpoint, not from a DFS standpoint. From a DFS standpoint, I think we can use barrels and blasts. We have that. We have expected home run data. We have a lot of that stuff, right? But I think that it is worth understanding what makes hitters good, and maybe there's going to be ways to utilize this data to find guys who are underperforming and ready to do well. I think that kind of stuff can be useful here. I don't think that the bat speed matters as much as ooh, actually, here's something cool. Maybe we could do that. This is just a whole theory podcast today. This is great. I love this.
But with the theory of DFS, we just
no. This is awesome. This is great. What if we could find what if what matters is the delta between max bat speed and average bat speed? What if with somebody like Taylor Ward, where his max bat speed is 83 miles per hour and his average bat speed is 75 miles per hour? What if finding that delta means that we're looking at guys who have better potential to be elite hitters?
Well, or more powerful hitters. I'm not necessarily elite hitters.
Well, no, I mean, I would look at it as elite, that, because that's kind of what I look at as somebody who is a really, really good hitter, is somebody who knows when to unleash it.
Right. Well, the prototypical case looking at this data is Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts has a lower than average bat speed, but dude, it's Mookie Betts this year is awesome. Right? But the point that you're making is that there's a difference. The distribution of the bat speed you think matters.
Dude, go look at the Mookie Betts graph. Go look at his graph. That's the graph we want.
But to finish off what I was saying is that if someone had the average bat speed of 75, but they swing 75 every time,
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between that and someone that has an average bat speed of 75 that swings 70 sometimes and 80 other times. Like, that has to be different. So this is Mookie Betts.
This is who we want.
Yeah, but your theory makes sense. This like, he swings at like 67, 68 a lot of the time, right? And then he gets, and then somewhere in 72, but like, look at all this gap here where he's swinging 77 all the way up to 85.
Oh yeah, that's what we want.
Like this chunk right here, and that's not a slice. Like, these other batters have like slices where it's like literally under 1% of the time. Like, this is like 2, 3. I mean, like, this is much higher. And we could tell from the output, from the actual results, that, yeah, his graph probably should look like this. I mean, Mookie Betts is probably the MVP at this point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. All right. I need to find a way to isolate that stuff. And then I can do some cool stuff with this. Because that's what we want. We want guys who have that.
Pitch by pitch? Do you get pitch by pitch kind of data?
I don't know.
Because basically you want to say, I just want to take his stats of when he swings more than 75 miles an hour, 77 plus or something. That's it. I don't think the data is available for AAA hitters. Maybe it is. I don't know. But James, how else are you going to isolate just these?
I don't know.
Like, how you can't do it without like having it per pitch.
Yeah, I gotta see if I can find that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. But that's what we want. That's for sure what we want.
Well, in theory, at least. I mean, you're theorizing that if we could figure out who knows when to swing fast, that could be actionable, versus someone that just swings fast, like Jorge Soler swings fast all the time and misses a lot. I mean, like, that's not as fruitful. I mean, we can see that, yeah, when he does make contact and he doesn't miss, he's probably going to hit the ball pretty far. We have the StatCast data, we have the exit velocity and expected home runs and all that type of stuff. But we're looking for the guys that are like, low bat speed, average, but when they hit the ball, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to find it. Because I think that there's something there for that.
Yeah. What happened to Justin Turner?
He's old.
Some of these guys, you take a look at the name value and go, oh yeah, Justin. Okay, maybe Charlie Blackmon. I mean, look at the underperformers like Justin Taylor, Justin Turner, Charlie Blackmon. Right. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, look, when Nick Ahmed is close to Charlie Blackmon, like, Charlie Blackmon is probably, I mean,
that's probably not great.
Right. Anthony Rizzo's not in a great shape either. Right. Or Polanco, we get Castro. Okay, some of these guys over here.
Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, because look at Mookie Betts in comparison to the rest of the league here on this visualization. Like, you would think over here, based on where Mookie Betts is on this graph, that the guy is closer to Stephen Kwan, right? You're like, Mookie Betts, oh, you mean that slap singles hitter?
Right.
And then you'd look at the output and go, no, he's close. He's closer. The stats are closer to Juan Soto's stats than they are to Stephen Kwan's stats. But this graph, you wouldn't be able to tell that because his averages make it look like, oh, he doesn't swing the ball very fast. And then we looked at that distribution. It's like, no, he does swing the ball very fast, but he also swings the ball very slow at times.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta
Because would you make the fair comparison that Mookie Betts is similar to Brendan Donovan?
No.
Or Nico
No.
Horner or Jung Ho Lee? Like Mookie Betts should not be in the class of people like
Well, so bring
Abraham.
up.
Like you're telling me that Mookie Betts is very close to being Abraham is like Abraham Toro.
Well,
Or
so
Will
bring up that graph for Mookie Betts again, and then put in Brendan Donovan, and we'll see exactly why he's so much better.
Betts. Right. Let's put Betts here. You want Donovan? There you go. That tail.
It's that tail, man.
Right.
That's
This
what it
blue
is.
tail over here. Or even like Will Brennan. Like that's another one in that range. Yeah, look. He's green. He has no tail. And then we also had what, Abraham Toro?
Yeah, Toro.
As a swing, everything. Well, Abraham Toro, I mean, he has a little bit more.
But Abraham Toro has not been terrible this year either.
No, he's actually not been terrible, right?
He's picking his spots.
Right, Abraham Toro.
So this is one of those instances where you can see, like, you didn't expect to see that about Abraham Toro, but Abraham Toro has not been terrible this year, and maybe our assumptions about him are not quite correct if he can pick his spots.
So we take a look at someone like Betts, and let's go back to here. Jung Ho Lee, Betts. I mean, who else is kind of around? Marcus Semien, Betts, Toro, Donovan, Horner. Horner's another one. Horner, Jung Ho Lee. Let's look at that in comparison to Betts. So there's Betts, and how about Nico Horner? No, I have to put the last name.
Yeah, it's last
name. Yeah, major difference.
Well, but Nico Horner does end up trying to look for that stuff, right? I mean, he does have that tail up. But also, you know, if you go back to that, go back to the table. And look, Adley Rutschman is like right underneath Betts.
Yeah.
Rutschman, he's a great hitter.
Right. Taylor Ward, Rutschman, Blake Perkins. But here's Jung Ho. Jung Ho Lee actually has a faster bat speed on average.
Yeah.
Let's see what he looks like compared to Betts. I put in Lee. What do I do? Jung Ho Lee. I mean,
so he doesn't really have a tail.
What?
He doesn't really have a tail.
I mean, he has a little. Yeah, it doesn't really have a tail. Yeah, it's kind of consistent. And a lot of his average bat speed comes from the fact that he doesn't swing as slow as Betts does a bunch of times. But like, it's really kind of, this is much more normally distributed. Right, Adley Rutschman, Rush. Right, he has a tail a little bit, but not nearly as big as Betts does.
Right. Yeah. See, and this is one of those instances where I wish that we could have the 2023 data to compare against 2024, because I'd be willing to bet that we could find a big difference between Ronald Acuna in 2023 and him this year.
Right. Look at the difference between Betts and Soto.
It's huge. Yeah.
Soto just averages, he swings fast, like at around 75, 76 miles an hour, like most of the time. Look how normally distributed this is. Just that he doesn't swing the bat slow at all. It's just like he's consistently in this range. But statistics wise, is that probably Mookie Betts' blue piece that's over here, his tail, is what gets him all the stats that Juan Soto has. Right? Like, it's like, no, I get all of my stats through here, and you just do the same thing all the time. And all these other times where I'm swinging the bat slower, I'm probably making more contact and putting the ball in play, getting an RBI, getting on base, fielder's choice, stuff like that. So maybe the prototypical type of hitter that we're looking for is something that looks not like Juan Soto, but more like Mookie Betts.
Yeah, we want somebody.
As long as this tail actually amounts to something. Like,
right.
Just because you swing, sometimes I swing the bat fast. Yeah, but if you miss, who cares? I mean, like, that doesn't matter.
Right. Like, Juan Soto basically sits there, watches balls, and then anytime something's in the zone, he swings as hard as he possibly can. And Mookie Betts, the difference there is that he will still swing at other things here and there. But when he sees something he really wants, when he sees that 90-mile-per-hour ball right down the middle of the plate, he's just going to unleash on it.
So this in Chicago J in chat said, look up Miles Mastrobuoni. Cubs specifically put him in against Skeens because of his ability to hit high-velocity pitches. And if that's the case, and this is, I mean, obviously it's a very small sample size, this looks, if that is true, if that statement is true,
right,
then what I've said previously on the show about bat speed versus fast pitching is more correct than what you that against higher velocity pitchers, the bat speed of batters should go down because they will slow their bat speed in order to make sure to hit more contact with a fast pitcher than the opposite of trying to catch up to something.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right.
I mean, if that's it, I mean, because Mastrobuoni, whatever is, however you pronounce it, his bat speed is quite low. And obviously, this is I mean, we're also looking at what's probably like.
Yeah, he's got like 14 plate appearances.
right. So, right. What are we? How many swings is this? 20?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many? Who knows? Right. But it's interesting, right? A lot of times on Mondays, we end up with me making DFS rap battle stuff on ChatGPT. Here we turns out we actually had a baby quality conversation.
Yeah, we get one a year. We get one conversation a year. Yeah, I want to dig in and kind of try to find if I can figure out a way to, like, I don't know if they're going to release the pitch by pitch stuff of this. If they do, then it would be really, really cool to be able to measure the delta between max bat speed and average bat speed of hitters, because I would be willing to bet that has a pretty decent effect on what we should expect out of good hitters. But
you can also see what effect it does have. Maybe it has an effect that you don't realize it does. You just go, right. All you're doing is saying, okay, who are the ones that have the highest deltas? Who are the ones that have the lowest deltas? And what other things correlate with that line? Yeah. And who knows what it could be, something that obviously that's not like overfitted into the, I mean, it's like, oh yeah. The people that have the highest deltas are like guys that are born in July. It's like, that doesn't like that. Who cares? Who cares? That doesn't matter.
What I think this will end up doing is like this kind of stuff. I don't even think that it's going to matter at all at this point in the season. Here's how I think this is going to be used. I think that we have better stats for DFS and for betting than this. Like, we have barrels, we have blasts, we have expected stats. We have so much to use for DFS and betting that is going to tell us how good guys are and is more easily applicable to modeling, right? Like, this is kind of hard to build into modeling. But those things take time to normalize. And I think this probably normalizes really quickly. So I think this will be useful at the beginning of next year for us to look at and be like, oh, here are a subset of guys that fit this archetype of elite hitters. And like, if I find out that delta matters between max and average speed, be able to say, yeah, this guy who wasn't really that great last year is fitting this profile of an elite hitter, and he's only like 3K. for this week or whatever.
Right.
But he fits this profile. That's where I think that we can use it.
Or some $5,400 you end up with like, oh, Vlad Guerrero, based
oh
on
yeah, let's look at
data
Vlad Guerrero.
is,
He sucks right now.
yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Well,
Sorry.
Vlad Guerrero's main culprit is that he's not hitting the ball with good contact.
Right.
So where's Vlad? Vlad Guerrero. Right, look, his bat speed, look. You would look at this and go, wow, Vlad Guerrero. Look at how many, he's better than average on bat speed, but his contact rate, so I mean, just put him by Betts, for instance. I mean, that's a drastic difference.
Also, another kind of cool thing to look at on it, if you sort that instead of swing percentage, switch it to hard hit percentage.
Much closer.
Do you see? Well, but look, Mookie Betts is getting hard hit rates even when he's only swinging the ball 66 miles per hour.
Right.
And Vlad has to swing hard to get hard hits.
Right.
Which is, again, pick your pitches. You can still hit the ball hard even if you only swing 66 miles an hour if you're hitting something that's a 90-mile-per-hour fastball down the middle of the plate.
Right.
But you can't do it if you're trying to swing at something that's a 95-mile-per-hour fastball on the outer corner.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of really interesting things here. And I think that what we're going to find is that this stuff is really useful in smaller samples towards the beginning of the year to kind of isolate and say, oh, well, this guy fits this profile of what we want out of somebody who can give us really good results. And he fits the bill and he's still underpriced. Or this guy doesn't fit the bill of being an elite hitter. He doesn't know how to pick his pitches. Yeah, he swings really fast, but he can't hit shit. So he's overpriced. And then, things will normalize, and then we'll have our whole toolkit of stuff that we can use to project this stuff out, and then this stuff will fall behind. But either way, really, really cool stuff. From a modeling standpoint, and for somebody like me who does a lot of data analysis and kind of loves that kind of side of things, really cool stuff. I'm excited to dive in and download it and see if I can find it.
I'm sure Cardi will tweet out some stuff of what he's seen. He'll be talking about it a little bit. At least if he comes on here in the morning. Next time he comes on, I'll ask about it. But hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Hit that like button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Grinders Live at crunch time later today for the MLB slate. Obviously, we got tons of stuff here. PGA. We got NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, MMA, soccer. It's kind of wrapping up. We got that also. Sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. Click on the link in the description. Get $250 off 6-month package, or $40 off your first month, or try us out for $19.99 for a couple of days. All that information is below. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not sure. I forgot. I don't know who's on. I think maybe Tim's on tomorrow. Someone's on tomorrow. We'll be taking a look at the MLB slate, right? Just trugging along here like I always do, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy props and pick 'em. Every Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern, on RotoGrinders Today.